Hello guys, this is Mephisto and welcome to the 6th episode of A Talk with Pokemon YouTubers, and today Emperor ZNB is joining me. Hello NBZ.
Hey man, how's it going? Again.
Yeah, again. Nubz, or Emperor ZNB, what does that name mean and why did you pick it for your YouTube name?
Right, okay, let's go for the channel name first of all, Emperor's Nub, as I like to call it. Well, basically I got into the Pokemon battling scene back in around September '07. And around that time, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I was thinking, all these guys know what they're doing, they're really good. And I started watching, like, TSPs, ZMT, Xerxes, the big three at the time, the three people who really narrated their battles, no one else was doing it. And I was like, I want a channel to watch these guys on, and something that I can use to, subscribe to them and get notified every time they put a video up so I can watch it. So that was the main intention of the channel to start with. I kind of had the inkling of uploading myself eventually, but I didn't really have, the know-how or the knowledge at the time in order to. So I kind of go to YouTube and I'm like, right, what the hell am I going to call this channel? So obviously my main choice would be NBZ. That's what I call myself on all my forums. It's a name that I've had since since the first Pokemon game. I'll talk about that in a bit, how I got that name. But so I go to type in MBZ, and it's already taken. So I'm like, great, this is fantastic, great start. My main name is taken, I can't use it. So I try another name that I use, which is Lord NBZ, and that's taken. So I'm like, great, two names gone. What the hell am I going to do now? So there was this one name I used on RuneScape, I believe, which was Emperor NBZ. So I was like, okay, I'll try that. So go Emperor NBZ, and that's taken. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how big is this YouTube thing? How many people take these names? So I'm like, I give up. I'm just going to call myself Emperor Z, and I just basically took the letters of NBZ and muddled them up at the end of the thing. I was just like, I really don't care. I'm just going to call myself Emperor Znubba de Bluff, or whatever the hell. And that's kind of how it ended up happening. Now, I didn't actually think that I would be posting videos on it when, I first made it. But when the time came to post my first videos, I thought, I already have an account, I might as well use that account that I made. So that's what ended up happening, and I've been stuck with it ever since, you could say that. So,
Yeah, and what does the Nubz part mean? Is like Noobz or...
Well, Nubz, right. Well, the name Nubz, which is associated with my shuckle, that actually came from the O&M forums, the official Nintendo magazine forums, which I used to frequent quite often. I used to go to O&M, and that's pretty much where I learnt to battle. So I was on there one day, I think, in one of the forum threads, and this guy, I think I still remember his name. His username was Alan109, I believe. And this guy, he's like, hey, you, Nubz, do this thing. And it was sort of meant as a derogatory name, like calling me, because it was a play on NBZ, because using the three letters of NBZ, but, the word nub, and, you're a noob and stuff, so he kind of called me Nubz, and I was like, you know what, that's quite a cool name, so I decided to call my shuckle Nubz. Now, at the time, shuckle wasn't anything, well, I was basically taking on the bug gym at O&M, because I was the bug gym leader, so I needed a bug gym team, and I wanted, like, a special wall, so I was like, the shuckle thing looks pretty good, I might use it. So I called my shuckle Nubz, and it kind of just happened that shuckle was the central aspect of the team, and he was absolutely incredible. So that kind of moniker of Nubz came quite important, and it was just a sort of a nickname that I gave him on a whim, really. So it kind of happened like that. And then NBZ itself, geez, this is a long name story, but I guess I have a few names to talk about. So NBZ itself comes, it was basically, I was playing Pokemon Blue, and I needed a name for myself, so I started typing in my initials, which are N and B. So I type in N and B, and kind of like then I think someone came into the room or something happened, but my finger slipped, and I ended up like hitting A couple of times, and my finger slipped on the D-pad, and I ended up hitting Z and then OK. So my name ended up as NBZ, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds cool, I might as well go with that. So kind of happened by accident, as it was. I was, putting my initials in, and then the Z kind of came at the end, and it's been that way ever since. It's the name that I've used on, pretty much every game I've ever owned and every forum I've ever been on. So that's how that came into being.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting and long story.
Yeah.
Can you name 3 favorite games besides Pokemon?
Right. The first one is a game for the Game Boy Advance, which I got a while back when it came out, I can't remember, 2001 or whatever it was. Metroid Fusion, which was it was the first time I was introduced to the Metroid series and the 2D side-scrolling sort of thing. And I absolutely fell in love with that game. I was like, this is incredible. I can't, there's no other game that really compared to it at that time on the GBA. So I was just like, I was absolutely hooked. It was also bloody difficult. So for me at that age, completing Metroid Fusion was one of my greatest achievements, I thought, because I found it a really tough game. And I still haven't 100%ed it to this day. And I'm really disappointed because I can't find it at the moment. It's kind of, I've lost it. And I have a craving to play it, but I can't actually find it. So I've been looking for it around the house, but it's not appearing. I just want to finish it on 100% and get that going, but not been able to do that. And a second game, I think I'd have to go with Super Smash Bros. Melee. Mainly because it was the game that pretty much brought me over to the Nintendo home consoles. My friend got a GameCube back in May when it was released, May of 2002 or something. I can't remember when the GameCube came out. Do you remember the GameCube? No.
No, I was probably a little kid back
You're
then.
you're probably running around, but the GameCube was that was huge for me. That was pretty much the main reason I bought a GameCube was for that game solely. I fell in love with that game. That was huge, and especially because we were at that kind of age, my friends and I, where we'd just go around to each other's houses quite a lot and sleepovers and play Melee like late into the night. It was a really, really good fun game. So Melee was absolutely fantastic. And then thirdly, I'd have to say the Fire Emblem series. The first time I actually encountered a Fire Emblem game was this German kid. He was an exchange student, and he was an exchange student at my prep school. And he was like kind of in the last year with us, and he brought along a Fire Emblem game on the GBA, and I was like, hey, what's this? This is kind of interesting. Looks pretty cool. So he kind of gave it to me, and I went through the first couple of chapters. I was like, wow, this is really good. And I feel like the in-game of RPGs, a lot of sort of that style RPGs aren't that interesting, but especially Pokemon's the in-game's gone kind of stale for me after playing online. But Fire Emblem's a series that I've always loved the in-game of, and it's just one of those incredible ones. So any of the Fire Emblem GBA games, I would say, are definitely my favorites. So I guess that's 3.
And what are your hobbies besides Pokemon?
Well, I do like to play quite a bit of sports, so I go and I haven't been doing so much lately, but my sports that I main usually are cricket and badminton's a main one actually for me in terms of like one's a group sport, one's an individual, so I do like doing that. But also probably my main hobby is playing the guitar, which I kind of got into a couple of years back, pretty much around the same time that I started YouTube, maybe a year after I started YouTube or so. And I got the guitar, and basically, with the internet these days, it's so easy to teach yourself. So I just went online, started finding things out and how to teach myself. Like I played instruments before, like the piano and stuff, but that was kind of, it's classical music. I wasn't really into it. So with the guitar, it's because I really enjoy listening to that type of music, which sort of motivates me to, play it and get better at it and such. And, I've been doing quite well with that and keep going with it. And unbeknownst to most people, I actually have a guitar YouTube channel, which I shall not reveal anytime soon. But if you search hard enough, deep enough, I'm sure you'll be able to find it somewhere.
Yeah, I will try, and I will put a link in the description. If you find it. So, ready, guys.
You'll be trying for a while, Infestor, not gonna lie. But if you can find it, that's a pretty damn good achievement. So, it's out there. It's got a couple of like covers on it. It has like a couple of original songs that I wrote with my friend, just kind of really badly recorded and stuff. But it's mainly me standing with the guitar with the camera cutting my head off, and such like. So, yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah. Do your parents or friends know about your hobby
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, what do they think about it?
Right, yeah. Well, my family does know that I do this. They aren't, that pleased about it. I would say they don't think it's a very good output of my time, but it's it's something that I really enjoy doing. So, if people say do what you enjoy doing, this is exactly what I'm going to do. They kind of, it's the kiddie image. My sister's like, oh, you're so gay, you play Pokemon, it's for 10-year-olds. It's just like, you know what, you don't understand what this game does when it's online and sort of what it morphs into. It's a completely different animal to, the back in the day, the anime and the trading cards and all that stuff that, got all the kids into pokes. It's a completely different arena, and the metagame itself is so complex and so, diverse and really difficult to comprehend for someone of, a young age. So you really have to be, adult, as it were, to understand everything and to be able to play competitively and to be able to keep up with everything. So it's one of those problems with the Pokemon franchise in general. It just has that kiddie label placed on it, much like Nintendo itself, just the kiddie label's always placed. But it's one of those things which couldn't be further from the truth, because you have to have a developed mind to actually understand what's going on. So that's
Yeah, and people like judge by the anime and they think it's like a kid stuff, like a kid game and shit. But yeah, as you said, it's way different.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
can you name 3 favorite YouTubers of yourself?
Right. Okay. Well, number one is pretty damn easy for me. Always has been, always will be, probably, is MTG Xerxes. Now, when I first started, the 3 people that I watched, I mentioned before, was TSP, ZMT, The Shadow Project, and Salamaster Timmy, and Xerxes. And they were the 3 main influences. They were pretty much the reason that I wanted to upload in the first place. So those were the guys that I first sort of thought as my 3 favorite, as it were, back then. Xerxes himself is still my number 1 for a variety of reasons. He uses a webcam, which is something that, I'll talk about in a bit, which I much prefer over emulators. He uses live recording, which means that his narrations can be full and he's able to explain in his entire thought process. And his voice as well is quite appealing. It's really, I know, I wouldn't say soothing is the word, but it's very engaging. I think it's a really engaging voice, which sort of draws you into the battle a lot more. I think a lot of narrators, you can kind of disengage from them, sort of sit back and watch the video, and their voice sort of sweeps over you, and you're kind of like, what's going on here? I'm not really paying attention. But he really grabs you, draws you in, and his narrative style, I don't think, can be bested by anyone. Personally, I really don't think anyone actually comes close to him at all. So he's my number 1. In terms of 2 and 3, I wouldn't say I have a specific 2 or 3, but I don't watch that much anymore. I mean, I don't watch that many YouTubers anymore. The people I do watch are mainly people I talk to on Skype, so people like Nick, Superblar411, Magnitude, who I've known for a long time, actually. Me and Steve met back on Smogon, it was, a while ago. We didn't even know who each other were, but he was the guy who first introduced me to roulettes, in fact, so props to him for me knowing what roulettes are. So, yeah, we kind of met each other again on YouTube, so I watch him quite a lot. He doesn't put up much anymore, but he is still very, very good. Ferris Wheel 32, awesome dude, doesn't post much, but one of my good friends, very awesome guy. And Fizzy Stardust is awesome. Abra's Asylum dude, very, very cool. And another guy I have on my channel wall who doesn't really post that much often anymore, his name's Groovy Green Hat, definitely a hidden gem. Absolutely. He's basically, I don't know, he reminds me a lot of myself in a way, because he has, those characters, those sort of pokes that you recognize and the nicknames that you recognize, and his teams sort of feel like characters that you can kind of follow along with and such. So I really enjoy his stuff. So, yeah, Groovy Green Hat and all those other guys, they're really good.
And do you remember your very first friend on YouTube?
Yeah, I do actually. See, I talked about Magnitude before and how I'd met him on Smogon. Well, basically after that, I kind of realized that he was on YouTube, and I was like, hey, this is that guy who I met on Smogon. I remember if you go back and look at maybe his 3rd or 4th uploaded battle, there's a comment from me saying, hey, is this the Magnitude from Smogon? And he replies like, yeah, this is me. I was like, hey dude, cheers, you taught me how to roulette. And so we kind of got in contact that way, after having met on Smogon. And his first ever game uploaded was against Xerxes. So I was like, wow, this guy's well connected. He knows people. I was like, maybe if I get in contact with this guy, I'll get a game with Xerxes, So that was my sort of mindset back then. So, we kind of talked for a bit. I had him on, I think, I can't remember if I had him. No, I don't think he had MSN. I'm not sure. I might have done, but, we both sort of were subscribed to each other, and we both commented on each other's videos, and eventually he got this program called Ventrilo, which was kind of like Skype, but it was a sort of sub-network voice talk thing. And I got, started talking to him, started talking to people like Ferris Wheel, people like JC Fern, Conker, Ryan, his name's Doc Steleon, I think. And those sort of 4 guys I started talking to, those first people I talked to physically, like via Skype over the internet. And I just, got to know those guys really well. And eventually the reason they started up the Ventrilo network was because Skype apparently was lagging or something, so they had a lot of lag going on. So we talked a lot on that, and we had great fun on that because you could go into sub rooms of each other. So we'd have these battles where myself and Ferris would be in one room, and then like JC and Ryan would be in another room. So I'd be battling Ryan, and me and Ferris would be like discussing tactics in one room, and the other two would be discussing tactics in the other room. And then every so often, each of us would like hop over to each room and try and scout out what everyone was saying, and we'd be like, "Yeah, fuck off, back to your room," and stuff like that. That was great fun. That was really good fun. And then after that, we kind of just went on to Skype, and got talking more. And I've been talking to Steve for a long time, so. He's introduced me to a lot of people that I know now on YouTube, so it's definitely worked pretty well, and it's been really awesome since then. So I've met lots of people, talked to lots of people, just like you, Mephesto. So
Yeah.
It's been good. It's been good.
Okay, and getting back to the webcam, webcam thing, why do you actually use a webcam over an emulator?
Right. Well, when I first started, no one used emulators whatsoever. It was only something that came with the advent of the Ace card and the R4 and all these emulating devices. But I don't actually use a webcam per se. I use a camera. I use a digital camera. It's a Canon PowerShot something or other, which I actually picked up in the US like three years ago, and it has a 4 gig memory card, meaning that I can record up to like 50 minutes to an hour, so it's more than enough to record games with, and it actually gives me really good quality. So it's something in terms of why I prefer webcams. It's the idea of it bringing a lot more personality to the table. You see, the thing is with emulators these days is that a person uses an emulator, and I mean it's nothing against them as people, but I just think that it takes away so much from the personality of the video, mainly because back in the day I could sit there and go to my subscriptions box, and in my subs box I'd sit there and there'd be all these sort of all the screenshots, or what do you call them, I don't know, the screen, just the stills of the video, and you could tell just from the still who'd uploaded the video because that webcam was associated with that person. So I'd be like, oh, I see someone's uploaded a video, I click on it and know exactly that it was that person without having to read the title and read who'd uploaded it, because nowadays I find myself having to do that quite a lot, because you can't tell the difference with an emulator. I mean, some people try and switch it up a bit, try and do a bit of different colors and such, but you cannot tell the difference between one battle and another, and I don't like that because it takes away a lot of the personality. I used to just, as I said, connect people with the webcam they used. And another problem with the emulator is the fact that you have to use the battle recorder, which I am not the biggest fan of. I do not like the battle recorder, mainly because it does not have that aspect of the live recording. Now, with a live recording, if you have, an area of space, as it were, in your video recording, it's because you're thinking about what moves you're going to do in the battle, and you're trying to strategize, and you're trying to think, right, what's he going to do? What should I do? And how that feeds into someone's narration is that you can take those areas where, in the live recording where there's a lot of space, and you can use them to full advantage by discussing exactly what you were thinking at that time, why you were taking so long to make your decision, perhaps what was happening at the time. And also another thing I like to do is sometimes I put live clips from when I was actually recording the battle in, so some funny stuff sometimes happens from the actual video, so I can put in my voice live. So I can cut here to a point in the narration, a point in the video where I was saying something live. Like I could say, I predicted this crit here. Most people won't have evidence that they predicted the crit, but I can just slot in a live narration of me saying I'm going to get a crit here, and it happens. So that's another nice little advantage. But definitely the live narration thing and the personality is reason why I prefer the use of camera. But I am probably in the minority because everyone likes high quality these days, and who can blame them? But whatever, that's how I roll.
Yeah, but at the same time, if people have really bad webcams and cameras with bad quality, sometimes it's really difficult to watch those videos. But yeah, some people have very nice webcams.
Oh yeah. I agree with that. I agree that if you have poor, really crap quality and it's really blurry, then an emulator is definitely a better option. But if you do have the resources available to you, I would say go ahead and use a webcam.
Yeah, and do you have any funny memories you want to tell us about?
Okay. Let's think. First of all, we can talk about the drunk stuff, which is when I was at uni and getting drunk and stuff and posting drunk videos. I kind of got onto my computer and while being drunk, opened up Sony Vegas, imported a battle, put on my headset and started narrating drunk while having people on Skype who were laughing at me and such, and I still do not have a freaking clue to this day how the hell I managed to upload those videos. How the hell did I get into Sony Vegas and render and then go to YouTube and get it uploaded and title it and everything? It kind of boggles me how I was managed to do that. But that was kind of interesting. Not many people were able to see it, maybe a few hundred or so, but the videos both got pulled within a couple of hours. Apart from DMAC saw one of the videos, which was me doing a Chinese narration, pretending to be a Chinese person, and he was like, man, this shit's good, I'm going to put this on the mosh pit. I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to get flamed to hell, but whatever. And sure enough, got flamed to hell. But you know what, I really don't care that much. It's Tell anyone else to, get drunk and not do something like that. Well, I guess most people wouldn't, but I guess that's what I did. So, maybe something else was from the Battle for Charity stream when I think a lot of people found this as a funny moment was when I played Thunderstruck early on in the Battle for Charity. But then later on, people were like, encore, go and play Thunderstruck again. So I went along, picked my guitar up, and started playing it again. And my mom's like shouting from downstairs to be quiet. I'm like, yeah, I'll be quiet. And then I start playing again. And then she walks upstairs and walks into my room, and everyone's watching on the webcam because I have it pointed towards my door. So I put down my guitar, run over, and flip the webcam away. And there's a video of it up on YouTube. You can go see it if you want. But that was a moment of hilarity, I guess, on Battle for Charity stream with 200 odd people watching. So it was good. Yeah, enjoyed it.
And what is your opinion about the 5th gen so far?
5th gen. Now, 5th gen's kind of interesting, brings loads of new stuff to the table. I didn't have access to Wi-Fi or my ACE card when it first came out in September, so I was kind of stuck on 4th gen for a while, and I was like, I'm not going to convert this early, but the temptation was just so big, and I was like, there were loads of DS games I wanted to play on ACE card as well, so stuff like Phoenix Wright and such, which I didn't want to sort of pay my money for, so I wanted to, get it on ACE card and, play those as well as getting Black and White. So when I eventually did, the first weekend, I went home and had Wi-Fi again and had the ACE card, and I was just like, I couldn't stop playing. I was just like, I'm doing as many battles as I can. And the good thing was that I had access to, PokerSav this time, because with 4th gen, I never PokerSaved any of my own guys. A lot of my original guys were IV bred myself, EV trained myself, loads and loads of them were, and a lot of them were taken in trades from various places, from Maraland, from O&M, and it was only kind of later on that I started to get people saving for me, because, I don't know, people kind of wanted to, they were like, hey, can I save you stuff? I was like, sure, great, that helps me out, so People did that for me in 4th gen, which was nice. But now it's a lot nicer because I can just salve whatever I want when I want to, and it makes things a lot easier. So before I actually got my ace card, I sat there and started salving a ton of dudes. So I had like a box of 30, 40 odd before I even got online. So I had a nice variety for roulette if I wanted to roulette, which was good. Yeah, 5th gen in general is interesting. I think the problem with it is at the moment is the lack of tiers is really hurting it because there's so much just stuff flying around, and you know the stuff that was going on with Dark Ray and Shaman S in Standard. I was just like, what is this bullshit? How can you have Dark Ray and Shaman Skyform in Standard? It was kind of just crazy for a while, but I'm sure things will calm down soon enough, and tiers will sort of ease their way in. And the problem I have with 5th gen currently is the fact that you can't really have what would be an epic battle, as it were. You can't have an epic game, mainly because people don't know enough about the metagame yet, and matches don't really last as long as 4th gen ones. Whereas 4th gen, you can have what is, you know, considered an epic game with a ton of prediction going on and a ton of knowledge and stuff. But I guess, you know, with that thing with the teams being shown beforehand, you'd think prediction comes into even more play because people can see each other's teams and you can predict them to switch without having seen them come out. So yeah, it adds loads of new stuff, and it doesn't have the same magic as the first time I played Wi-Fi on, you know, 4th gen, but that's never going to happen again. But it was pretty damn good when I first played it, and I'm enjoying it still. So we'll see what it brings. We'll see how the tiers go, and hopefully it'll be really good.
Yeah, and to conclude, could you give some suggestions for people who only start their channels and want to get noticed?
Sure. When I first started, I had the position of being on a forum where I was relatively well known. I'd entered a couple of tournaments and I'd done relatively well. So people kind of respected me, as it were, as a battler. People didn't think I was some scrub or anything. So when I started posting videos, a lot of my traffic to my channel came from the official Nintendo magazine website. Because I posted my videos there, and all the people were like, it was quite a tight-knit community, everyone knew each other, so everyone would watch each other's videos and stuff, but I was the first person from O&M to start narrating, so a lot of people, you know, my first 50 or so subs came from that area, so I would say that people should, if they want to sort of build an early fan base, then sort of try and get their videos out there on any forum or any sort of different Pokemon-based website that they can. So go to Mariland, I did this. I went to Mariland, posted my videos in the Mariland Pokemon Battle thread on the YouTube thread, which now has like something crazy, like 1,000 pages or something of people posting. You can go back into that archive and find like videos that Zelda Master Timmy posted and stuff. It's kind of crazy. But that's Mariland. They don't really clear their stuff out. But just get your stuff out there as much as you can in the early days. And I guess one big thing is to try and be unique. And I kind of had the advantage when I first started that there really wasn't anyone from the UK who narrated battles. The only people, the big people, were TSP, ZMT, and Xerxes. They were all Americans. So there was no one from Europe, no one from the UK who narrated. So I kind of brought that different spin. I was the British guy, you know. People hadn't really heard a British guy narrate battles before. So I sort of had that uniqueness inbuilt, as it were. A lot of people have to, a lot of people try and get recognition by trying to be unique these days. People like Quander N66, he got recognized by Xenon because of his unique narration style. He sits in front of the camera, so it's on a more personal level with his viewers, and he has the video box, of course. And something like that's going to get you relatively far because you're doing something different, you're being unique about it, and people will be interested by it. Otherwise, if it's just, your bog standard, so I go into Manaphy and he goes into this guy and I set up a tail glow and he does that. That sort of narration style I do not find appealing at all, and I can't really, fly with that. So I guess try and be unique is the second thing. Third thing is just try and, speak proper English / type proper English. If you're going to get around anywhere, you have to make your videos look professional. You don't want to have your video title being typed without capital letters and, without a proper structure. If your video is just titled Battle 1 versus Noob really cool, something like that, it's not going to attract anyone's audience. Someone's going to think you're unprofessional and that your video isn't sort of giving off the right vibe. So definitely make sure that you put effort into your descriptions, into your titles and such, and make sure if you're trying to talk to different people online, just try and use proper English, especially if you're trying to talk to a big YouTuber. They won't have time for scrubs who PM them saying, battle me plox, please, really, give me shout out, this, that. Then just going to ignore it. Whereas if you take time, write maybe a well thought out paragraph to them, say, hey, do you mind check out my channel? Maybe give me a few pointers. You've really inspired me, etc. People are a lot more likely to check you out that way, and your name will get passed around, and people will start to recognize you. So, I guess those are the three sort of main areas that I'd give advice to. But I'm sure there are other things that you could do as well, which will help you out. But I guess that's all the advice I'm going to give. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, thanks a lot, NBZ.
Not a problem.
And Emperor ZNB was joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this long interview. And I guess stay tuned for the next week's episode, and have a nice day, guys.
Thanks a
Bye.
lot, Professor. Bye.